Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today, I am coming on live to talk with you about one of the biggest challenges sensitive strivers face, and that is overthinking. Today, I am going to share with you 5 ways to overcome it. And I want you to stick around till the end because I have an extra bonus tip for you. So, if you are joining live, comment in the chat here and say live so that I know you're here. If you're watching on replay, comment and say replay so I can say hello to you as well. Let me know where you are watching from. We have people in our community from all over the world, and it is always wonderful to find out where people are. So as I'm going along as well, let me know what is resonating with you, what is hitting home for you. Add your own thoughts in your comments as well. Now, let me introduce myself. For those of you who are newer to my community or catching one of my lives for the first time, I am Melody Wilding. I'm the author of this book right here, Trust Yourself, Stop Overthinking, and Channel Your Emotions for Success at Work. I am also the creator of a program called Resilient, a 3-month signature program designed to help sensitive strivers, people who are high achieving, but also think and feel everything more deeply, to help you really regain your confidence, master your emotions, and reach your full potential in the workplace. It is the last time I will be running Resilient this year, and we are coming up on the final day. Tomorrow is the last day of early bird enrollment, which means time is running out to save $300 on the regular enrollment fee. So I've put the link up here. I will also make sure to put the link in the chat so you can check out the program and see if it's for you. But now let's go back to overthinking. And first, let's talk about what overthinking even is. What does it mean? So put simply, it is the tendency to think too much about something, specifically in a way that's not helpful. So yes, overthinking is about thinking for a long time, but it's specifically about your thinking not really going anywhere. So it can look like worrying about decisions or things that are outside of your control. It can look like delaying decisions, trying to find the right choice, or dwelling on, ruminating over your shortcomings and your inadequacies. Many clients tell me that when they find themselves overthinking, it feels like they're falling down a negative spiral. It's as if their brain won't shut off. And it would be so much easier if there was just an off switch for our minds, right? So if you struggle with this, I want you to go ahead and type yes in the chat, because I know you will see that you are far, far, far from alone. And the research, the stats bear this out. Over 73% of people struggle with overthinking. This is becoming an even bigger issue now as we have access to more information. We have so many choices at our fingertips. We have higher demands and more stress than ever before. And when we're stressed out, when we're depleted, overthinking is much more likely. And it is also more common for sensitive strivers. So as I said, those are people who are both highly sensitive, meaning they have a greater attunement and they are more affected by their own emotions and those of other people, but they are also high achieving. They put a lot of pressure on themselves to do well and perform at their best at all times. This is not an inadequacy in you for being a sensitive striver. In fact, there is a very important biological reason for this. When we do MRI studies on people that are more sensitive, what we see is that they have more active brain areas. Their brains actually light up more in regions that are related to depth of processing information and things like self-awareness, understanding other people's emotions. So as someone who is more sensitive, you are just naturally wired to be more attuned to your surroundings, to take in more information and process it, synthesize it in a deeper way. And we also, as I mentioned, tend to have more active mirror neurons. That's our empathy neuron, which means that we're more aware of our own behavior, we're more self-aware, but we're also more aware of other people's behavior, which can leave us a little preoccupied or maybe overthinking why someone didn't email us back, or why is someone grimacing in a certain way during a meeting, for example. So all of these reasons taken together are exactly why sensitive strivers can tip over from naturally what they're excellent at, which is deep thinking, concentration, deep thought, into overthinking, which is when we get into those unproductive mental loops. And specifically, overthinking tends to happen when you get stuck, when your thinking becomes circular. It also tends to be very emotionally charged. So when you're overthinking, you tend to be harsher, more self-critical. You beat yourself up, which if you didn't catch my live last week about how to stop beating yourself up at work, I will make sure to link that here. It's excellent, been getting a lot of great feedback on it, and that is really impacting people. So I will make sure you have the link to that here as well. Of course, there is a big cost to overthinking as well. It's exhausting. It hurts your confidence and your self-esteem. You might find yourself constantly second-guessing your decisions. It may hold you back from speaking up and sharing your ideas because nothing you ever think of is good enough. Or maybe you'll hold yourself back from opportunities, right? So I want to tell you a quick story about this. It's about a client who I will call Terrence. And Terrence was a product lead at a technology company. And in this role, if anybody here is in product, you know that a large part of your job, most of your job, is making decisions and judgment calls. So he was always thinking about, how should I prioritize features? Who should be staffed on projects? What new products should we launch? And Terrence loved his job. He loved being a product lead, but making so many decisions and getting caught in overthinking so often caused him a lot of stress. And he would waste a lot of time analyzing variables, trying to make the best or the right choice. He would worry about the future and imagine all of the different ways a product launch could go wrong. And then he would beat himself up for squandering valuable time and energy instead of taking action. So if you relate to Terrence's story, I want you to comment yes and let me know if you have ever been there before when you have gotten caught in overthinking as well. So if that is you, if you relate to that, I want to reassure you that it doesn't have to be this way. I know because I have worked with hundreds of sensitive strivers inside Resilient who have been able to channel their sensitivity and their tendency to think about everything deeply as a strength. So I want to tell you about initials BH, who is a senior manager who is now a director because she was promoted during her time in the program, who said, I don't spend nearly as much time worrying about what people think of me at work. I'm believing in my abilities more than I ever have. Resilient instilled a sense of self-worth in my professional life that I haven't had in a long time. I read this because this is possible for you too. Resilient can help you get there, which if you are interested in saving $300 on your enrollment, tomorrow is the last day to do that, but time is running out to secure your spot and get that savings. But today in this live, I want to give you some initial steps to get you started. So now we've talked about what overthinking is, why it tends to happen more for sensitive strivers. So let's talk about some ways to rise above it so you can be calmer, more confident, and productive. Step number one, or tip number one, is psychological distancing. This involves stepping back and gaining perspective so you can take in the bigger picture of what's happening and evaluate a situation with a clearer head. So my favorite way of creating psychological distance is by personifying your inner voice. So if you have an inner overthinker who tends to be very judgmental and self-critical of you, what would they be called? Mine is called Bozo because he tends to be very annoying and quite a nuisance, but yours might be called the worrywart or gremlin. So if you have an idea of what your inner overthinker would be called, I want you to go ahead and type that in the chat. Try to choose something that feels lighthearted. A lot of people like to choose a fictional character. I once had a client that called theirs Darth Vader and got a Darth Vader figurine to keep on their desk. So maybe you get some sort of totem or a photo that shows what your inner overthinker is to make it a little more concrete. Another way to create psychological distancing is by playing the role of the observer. So imagine that you're a scientist who is studying your thoughts just like you would if you had a specimen in your lab. And you approach it with more curiosity, thinking about, well, what do you notice about this? Why might this be happening? Or pretend as if you are viewing the situation you're overthinking about as a movie where you are the main character. What would you hope would happen next? So all of these are really helpful ways to unhook from worrying, rumination, even future tripping, worrying about what's going to happen in the future to make a decision with a clearer head. All right, tip number 2 is putting aside perfectionism. Perfectionism is one of the biggest blockers to swift, effective decision-making and really just more ease. And specifically, perfectionism operates on all or nothing thinking. And this happens when we get into overthinking, that it leads you to believe there's only one correct choice. There's only one right option and solution to a problem. And if you don't find it, then you are a failure. Or you must know everything in order to solve a problem or make the right judgment call or determination. You have to anticipate every eventuality of something that could happen before you can make a move, right? Let me know if you've ever been there before. Trying to weigh every possible outcome is not only impossible, but that's what leads to analysis paralysis. So 2 questions to help you curb that tendency to fall into perfectionism. Which decision will have the biggest positive impact on my top priorities? What will have the biggest positive impact on my top priorities? And 2 is, of all of the people I could please or displease, which 1 or 2 people do I want to disappoint? Do I least want to disappoint? Sorry, let me read that again. Of all the possible people I could please or displease, which 1 or 2 people do I least want to disappoint? And you'll notice that both of these questions, at the essence of them, is prioritization, is identifying what your key criteria are, what you are trying to optimize for, and putting aside the rest. All right, tip number 3 is to right-size the problem. When we're overthinking, we tend to blow issues out of proportion. We may mull over or get hooked on situations that are not actually worth worrying about. So to differentiate what's meaningful and what's not worth obsessing over, I want you to try the 10-10-10 test. So 10-10-10. The way this works is very simple, is you ask yourself, how will you feel 10 weeks, 10 months, or 10 years from now? It's likely that whatever you're deliberating over or thinking about will be completely inconsequential in that time, or that you won't even remember it was a big deal. So it can be a very helpful way to put things in perspective. All right, tip number 4 is to draw on your heroes. Most of us have people in our lives whose judgment or confidence we really admire. Maybe it's a mentor, your boss, your spouse, a partner, a friend, a figure in the public arena, for example. Imagine how that person might respond to an overwhelming situation, something you're overthinking, like being interrupted in a meeting or the fact that you got denied a raise, for example. What would that person do? Again, the people who we admire can suggest a lot about our own values and what we would think is best to do for ourselves. So it can be very helpful to tap into and draw on your heroes in that way. And our last tip, number 5, is to construct constraints. Construct constraints. So determine a date or a time by which you'll make a choice. Give yourself a deadline. Put it in your calendar, set a reminder on your phone, or better yet, contact the person who is waiting for your decision and let them know when they can expect to hear from you. Another way to create constraints, one that my clients really enjoy, is a practice called worry time. Worry time, which is when you earmark 15, 20 minutes at the most, a short period of time each day or once a week to constructively problem solve, to constructively worry. I like to suggest taking a piece of paper, putting the issue that you're overthinking at the top, and then create 2 columns. One of things you can't control and one of things you can control. For the things you can control, look at what's an action step I could take here. Can I shift my mindset? Is there someone I can talk to? Is there a new procedure I can put in place? But it really helps you separate out what you can and you can't control and take constructive action rather than getting stuck in these circular mental loops. So there you have it. 5 tips for overcoming overthinking. 1, create psychological distance. 2, put aside perfectionism. 3, right size the problem. 4, draw on your heroes. And 5, construct constraints. I want to hear what's resonating with you the most, so make sure you go ahead and you type in the chat. Now, I said I had a bonus tip for you, and that is to listen to your gut. There's a reason I wrote a book called Trust Yourself. And that's because we sensitive strivers have strong intuition. We are perceptive, observant, we pick up on much more, we sense things, we have strong nudges, yet we so readily disregard that intuition because of fear, doubt, a sense of inadequacy, or even the opinion or judgment of others. If that's you, I completely get it. Learning to trust yourself is hard, but it is probably one of the most valuable things you will ever do to advance your career and your inner peace and your confidence while you're at it. So if you know deep down inside that you are ready for more, if you are ready for more confidence, self-worth, assertiveness, balance, then I want to invite you to join us inside of Resilient. As I said, Resilient is my 3-month signature program that will help you regain your confidence, master your emotions, and reach your full potential at work. You deserve to emerge 90 days from today more empowered, more in control, without the inner upheaval, overthinking, and overanalyzing you're facing now. So I want you to trust your gut here. If you know deep down that this is your time, then join us. Check out the program while the early bird discount is still available, because I know a deadline helps short circuit overthinking. As I said, construct a constraint. That special take action early bird rate ends tomorrow. So this is your chance to save $300 on the regular enrollment fee and to secure a spot in the final round of the program for this year. I will not be running it again. It will not be open again until 2022. So go ahead, head to the link on the screen. As I said, I will also make sure the link is in the chat. And if you join us, I can't wait to see you inside. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat here so I can help you answer them. And bye for now, everyone.